Reaction
Absolutely.
now from Republican Ohio Congressman and House Armed Services Committee member Mike Turner. Well, Congressman, based on this NIH letter, is it clear to say that U.S. tax dollars were used in a way that allowed the pandemic to start, or allowed for something to be created at this lab that leaked out and caused the pandemic?
Well, what we clearly have here, David, is the lab receiving funds that are taxpayers' funds. U.S. taxpayer monies had been used in this lab where this suspicious activity was happening, and from which there's been allegations that this virus may have come. If you go on the Intelligence Committee Republican website, you'll see a report of all the things that are known publicly as to how this lab played a role, perhaps, in this pandemic. I dropped a bill early this year on the issue of NIH funding. You know, this is an issue of where we have subgrantees who are receiving money, right, and a complete lack of NIH providing any oversight or reporting. This would require that. It would require transparency, and it would require oversight. Certainly, this is not an area where taxpayers would be expecting that their funding's going.
Well, I just got to ask a personal question about what happened between Dr. Fauci and Rand Paul. Does Dr. Fauci owe Senator Paul an apology for calling him a liar about something which the NIH seems to say is now true? That is to say, the NIH is supporting what Senator Rand was saying and what Senator Paul was saying, and denying something that Dr. Fauci was saying.
Well, I think Dr. Fauci owed Rand Paul an apology right there to begin with, because there certainly shouldn't be anybody who's coming from any government agency who speaks to a senator like that. But this information clearly shows that Fauci was being disingenuous, that the information that was being provided was not correct, was not accurate. And in fact, as we dig deeper into this, it shows that, in fact, you know, he may be in a situation where perhaps he lied to Congress himself, as opposed to calling Rand Paul a liar.
Well, is Congress going to do anything about that?
Well, I certainly hope so. If you look at what Fauci's demeanor has been and what his record has been on national television and in front of congressional hearings, he is always contradicting himself. He's never being straightforward. He's always the person of the moment, not really giving scientific or information, even saying he's above question. Certainly, his testimony needs to be looked at.
Do you trust him to continue to be in charge of a funding mechanism that may have helped start the pandemic?
Absolutely not. But I think the American public lost trust in him when he said we didn't need masks, and suddenly we needed masks, and then we needed two. So I think he doesn't have any credibility from the get-go on this, and certainly his statements in front of the Senate concerning NIH funding and his oversight that clearly is questioned.
I want to switch to another subject involving China, and that's this supposed hypersonic missile test. China's denying it, that it happened. Did it happen or not?
Well, I serve on the Intelligence Committee. I've received the classified briefings. Obviously, I can't, confirm or deny in those areas, but I can tell you this. China has continued to test and stretch their hypersonic capabilities. These are capabilities that go beyond just trying to overcome our missile defense system. These are new capabilities that are first strike capabilities to place the United States at risk, both our forward capacity and our homeland. This is very dangerous. This is something we need to respond to, and they're probably violating even a number of treaties.
Now, President Biden, of course, the threat here is twofold. It's not only to the United States, which is of most concern to us, but also the island of Taiwan is particularly concerned. That might be their first target if they ever use it, if indeed it is the missile that we suspect. I just want to play something from the president last night in a town hall he was in and get your reaction. Roll tape.
Are you saying that the United States would come to Taiwan's defense if China attacked?
Yes, we have a commitment to do that.
Now, after all the broken promises on Afghanistan, does anyone believe a Biden commitment on foreign policy anymore?
No, I can't see why anyone would. And even after in the debacle of Afghanistan, where they said they were not going to run for the exits, and then he abandoned Bagram in the middle of the night and left the Afghan military alone, and then subsequently used an armed drone that resulted in killing innocents, to stand in front of the world stage and make this broad statement about China and Taiwan. I think really all of our allies are probably questioning this president's resolve. The one area where we need resolve, though, is is to make certain that we reinvest in our military, so at least we have the capabilities when there is leadership at the White House, so that if we do have a threat and an adversary, that we can rise to the occasion.
Congressman, are you nervous about the threats to the United States, given the failure in Afghanistan and other foreign policy problems that we have now?
Thank you.
Yes, well, it's not just that our adversaries are getting new capabilities that put us at risk. It's not just that he abandoned Afghanistan and that we know that Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups and organizations intend harm to the United States. It's whether or not this president has the resolve to rise to the occasion to make certain that the United States is protected, and whether or not he has the ability to give our allies the confidence so that they can rally behind us.
We only have 10 seconds. Americans in Afghanistan, do we have any further information about whether there are Americans there who are trying to get out and can't?
They're trying, and I think this administration needs to be doing incredibly more to both work with the adjacent countries and, with Americans that are in Afghanistan that want to get out, to get them out, especially since they abandoned them.
It's extraordinary. They were hoping, a lot of administration officials thought that perhaps after time Americans would forget about it. We should never forget about that. And it's
heartbreaking.
It's up to you and other members of Congress to make sure we keep a spotlight on those Americans trying to get out. Thank you for being here with us. We appreciate it, Congressman. Well, markets looking for direction a bit.